Hey everybody, welcome back to Hart Talks. Well, I am in a dressing room. It's not my dressing room, unfortunately, but it is the dressing room of Brian Mullen, who is doing a show at the moment at the Camden Peoples Theatre. Yes, just checking I got that right. And Brian's going to give us a little intro about the show and what he's been doing with his writing workshops that have been going on for the last three. You've had three of them, haven't you?
We've had four.
Four. So I'm going to turn the camera around and now let the gentleman himself speak, okay? Brian, tell us a bit about the show and, about why you came up with this idea.
Yeah, so Live to Tell is a show that I've been developing for a few years now, since before the pandemic, actually. And I've worked in theater, I've been a playwright for a long time, but it's the first time that I've ever been performing as well as writing and performing something based on my own experience. So I've been living with HIV for 10 years now. It's been the anniversary of my diagnosis in January, 10 years. And Live to Tell is inspired by, I think, not so much the experience of getting diagnosed with HIV, but the experience of what it's like to live day in and day out, getting along with medication and negotiating, relationships and interactions, and just those kind of like emotional things that bubble up. I think if you had talked to me 6 or 7 years ago, I might have said, yeah, I'm doing well. I'm really healthy. I'm undetectable. I'm really good. I'm out with my status. I'm a HIV advocate and activist, and many of us are, and that's fantastic. But I think the process of, I had some complications with my medication, and I ended up switching it, although it was a kind of weird, complicated process, me even realizing that switching medication it kind of changed my whole narrative. I thought like I'd sort of gotten to the end of my HIV journey. And so the play is about saying, maybe there is no end to this journey. Yeah. Maybe it's something that doesn't move in a straight line. Yeah. And the fun thing about the show, so I've said all the like serious autobiographical stuff. The fun thing is that it's told through the prism of a Madonna jukebox musical. And the reasons behind that are, number one, I really like Madonna. Number two, she is an HIV and AIDS advocate from way back, and her career kind of is the exact same trajectory as the virus for the last 40 years. But also, she is constantly changing and reinventing herself. Yeah. So she like becomes a metaphor of how we all wish we could do that. Although maybe we're not quite as powerful to be able to change ourselves completely, and that's okay. So that's kind of what the show's about.
Yeah, we're not reinventing ourselves as good as Madonna does.
No, definitely not. With like a multi-million-dollar, stage behind us.
Yeah. So, as I said, I'm here today because you're doing the show here at the Camden Peoples Theatre, and you are having a little get-together afterwards, and you've asked me to be on the panel with you on stage. Now, tell us about the writing groups that you've been doing, because that's something as well as the show that you've been working on.
I was writing the show because I really felt like I hadn't seen that much drama that was about as I say, the modern day-to-day experience of getting by with HIV. But I was also very aware that because it's very autobiographical, it's just me, it's just my story. And so audience members who don't know anything about HIV, they come and they see yet another white, gay American man telling his story. And there's, as we all know, there's so many stories of different people, different walks of life and experiences. So, the great thing about this show, we did it a couple of months ago, and now we're doing it again. In that time in between, I've been partnering first with Metro Charity and then extensively with Positive East to run these writing workshops called Express Yourself. And I have to give a huge shout out to my co-facilitator, Mina Kakaya, who's done an incredible job. I mean, I think between all four of the workshops, we've had 30 plus people, and there's been about a 50% male to female ratio of the participants, and a great mix every time of ethnicities and ages. and everyone in the room is someone living with HIV. And as you know, Stephen, that creates a really special, safe space.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's not like a therapeutic group, we're not there to like, you know, deal with clinical emotions. We're there just to like let words flow out and play. So we used a lot. I mean, Mina has been brilliant from her background as a peer support worker and a life coach. And I've brought some of the creative writing and performance techniques that I used in the show. And together, I think it's been a really dynamic experience. So if I could get this. So this is the booklet that has resulted from it. Some incredible writing has come from this. And, you know, not everyone who made some writing felt comfortable using their full name or their image, but their words are here. Mm-hmm. And it's really important to me that this is in their own words. Like this is people with HIV expressing all their messy emotions, whether that's about their meds or about, I mean, some of them are like how amazingly empowered they feel. Others are like, I felt this way in the past and this way now. It's been a hard journey, even just accepting myself. And I think it's great to let all those emotions out. So the panel tonight, we're gonna have you and me and Mina, moderated by the incredible Dr. Shima Tariq, who's a fantastic researcher, and some of our writers who were on the group, they're gonna be speaking and reading some of their pieces. I'm excited, and I'm excited for the audiences who come to see my show. There are posters with these words out in the lobby, and those booklets are going to be available so everybody can see my show, but also take away little glimpses of other people's stories.
Yeah, and just give a little plug for the show. How long you're here and where everything is.
So the show is on Camden Peoples Theatre in London. Closest tube is Warren Street, Euston. It's in that area, so very convenient for people to come. And we are currently playing now on until the 15th of April. So if you get your tickets quick, maybe you're on your Easter break, got some extra time, come until the 15th. As to where it goes from here, we're hoping that we'll have Future Life, but if you want to catch it, definitely come to Camden Peoples Theatre before the 15th.
My name is Shima Tariq. I'm a HIV consultant and researcher, literally 10 minutes down the road at Mortimer Market Centre. Indeed. And also, researcher working at UCL. And it's my absolute pleasure to be here and to join you all tonight and to really sort of reflect on what we've just seen. I'm personally very excited because I've been a Madonna fan since I was 10. Like a Virgin was the first album I ever bought at 10 years old. In fact, my mum bought it for me, which I think is the most transgressive thing a Muslim mum. So hats off to my mum. So joining me today is Brain. Commonly known as Brian Mullen, you all know who he is. Playwright, actor, living in London, who's been living with HIV for many years. Mina Kakaya, I knew I'd who is a woman with HIV, an activist, a speaker, a trainer who specialises in mental health and well-being, and she also works at Positive East and the HIV London Clinical Forum, and I quite frankly don't know how you've got time to be here today. And Stephen Hart at the end here, who is an actor and YouTuber who's been living with HIV since 2006 and has also participated in the workshops. And both Brian and Mina co-facilitated the workshops. So let's jump straight in. Tell us all about these workshops.
But I wanted to make sure that the show also became a platform and a vehicle for sort of opening up lots of other conversations about HIV. So very early on, we knew we had to partner with charities like the incredible Positive East, and I'll say there's a bunch of people from Positive East here. And we knew that we had to do a series of writing workshops, and we wanted to make sure, because the play was on in February, we wanted to make sure that when it was on here in Camden, that everybody could get those booklets and see those posters in the lobby, even if it's just a glimpse of other people's stories, maybe just with their first name or just with their initials. that they just beginning to understand that there's a wider story.
No, and it was really lovely because I think it was so fluid, and we came out with this theme around identity of what it means to be you, but also a person living with HIV, and the complexity of, because we're also diverse. And so we came up with a big theme around identity, and then we thought about identity in relation to how we relate it to our bodies, and then our health, but as well as how our identity relate to relationships with other people and other people around us, and then our relationship with ourselves. And so it was themed around those three key areas. Was one person said, I've never met a woman before with HIV in the room. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Because I think there's always been a narrative of LGBT and gay men with HIV, but there's been a lack of visibility, I think, of the fact that actually, if you think about the history of HIV, it affected the heterosexual community back in Africa and around the world, actually. And you think actually there's a silent minority there who are not that visible. And because HIV is anybody, and we don't know who that person is. And some of us are still not sharing it, are not able to share, particularly with their own children, because of the fear, the stigma, the fear of rejection, the discrimination. And I think the biggest issue now is about stigma.
And Stephen, I just wondered whether you could share a bit about because we've heard from Mina and from Brian what their experience was of setting up the workshops and facilitating them, but what about you as someone who took part? How was that for you?
So I think for me, it's always, as an actor and somebody who had his own one-man show, it's always interesting to see how other people are doing it. You know, so I wanted to come and see what this was all about, and saw the show, and it was amazing. I wasn't able to attend all the workshops, but the ones that I did attend, it was amazing just to see in that short space of time, the seed had been planted, and there were these amazing stories. Even on the very first night that we met, there was already these amazing stories that were beginning to take root. And I said to Brian and Nina that night, I said, this is got something that has got, you know, it's going to grow into something beautiful. You know.
I would say.
I remember that first session because there was lots of laughter and there were tears at the end, and there were both. And I think the thing, what you said, Mina, play, is really important. And I can remember a comment from someone in the group when I know who it is, but I'm not going to say it out loud, when we were talking about well-being, and we were all talking about the elements of well-being, and someone who was a mother said, playing with my kids is well-being. I roll on the floor with my little boy, and I realize he has that well-being. You do those kind of things, it creates a different space. And then, as Nina's saying, when it comes time to speaking about their experience, I hope that there's an inhibition that's taken away.
Yeah.
So there's an openness, and you don't have to solve anything with creativity. You just kind of let it out. And I think in all walks of life we need that, but I think especially around, you know, things like HIV.
Should we take a couple of questions and then decamp to the bar? Very eager questions. Are you doing more of these?
Good question.
And that's the big question, because some of us would love to come to
Yeah.
do some more of these.
Well, it's a question mark. You know, this was funded by the Arts Council and also by Positive East. Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to give more.
Yeah.
Nina's probably ready. I think we all know that we're in a climate where HIV services and like especially non-clinical services are very, you know, they're reducing. But whatever we can do, I mean, I'm ready to lead more of this.
And Steve, was that your experience as well of being involved, that this could have just gone on and rolled on to bigger and better things?
Yeah, I think as a creative person, I think creativity is important for all of us, whether you're on stage, whether you're, you know, singing in the shower, whatever you're doing, you know, creativity is so important. And so often with HIV, we're told, be quiet, don't tell anyone, you know, keep that under wraps. And this project kind of blew all that out of the water. So yeah, I am sure that there will be more of this.
And Stephen's show, I just heard today, is going to be more of that. So from 10 years ago, Stephen's show is going to be going again.
Don't forget the podcast.
Yeah.
Where do we go to see your show?
So my show ran in New York for 9 months in 2010, and it was really crazy because it was, I'd grown up as a child of secrets, you know, secrets in the families, you know, secrets, and when I became HIV positive, the first thing that was told was, don't tell anyone. And it took me back to being a child, and I thought, I can't live this way again. And it's amazing that 10 years later, our stories still matter and they're still relevant.
Really, a big round of applause to our amazing panel.